Okay, I think it's so important that you be able to identify the difference between Northern Renaissance and Italian Renaissance. So, yesterday we were in the middle of talking about the details that are in Northern Renaissance. You saw how tiny this painting is. Let's go all the way back to uh, uh, here. It's a tiny painting. Now, let's take a look. We're going to look at I think we're to look in the window of that right there where Joseph is working and making mousetraps. We're going to look through that window. I'm so sorry about this. Da, 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 da. And through that window, there are buildings in the background, and you can see each and every individual brick. On this wall right here, there are nails or studs, and then there's rust coming down from those nails or studs. That's an insane amount of detail. When we look at the angel Gabriel, look at the detail on the wings, each little hair on the wings, each little hair on Gabriel's head, each little tiny gem and piece of gold nugget in that little crown. All right. And the folds in the clothes. It's an insane amount of detail. Outside, every blade of grass, every leaf on a plant is painstakingly detailed. Oh, here's the image through the window. An insane amount of detail. All right, I think the other one, this one is behind the donors. All right, this is the inner garden that the donors are in. All right. So now we're going to go to Belgium and the city of Ghent. We're going to go into St. Bavo's Cathedral and we're going to look at this image right here. This is an altarpiece. Is that big or small? It's big. All right. So where does it belong? In a church. And so it's in a church, so it's where it belongs. The artist name. We're going to start getting into artists here, and we're going to be looking at a lot of European artists. And European artists, and even some of the American artists that we'll get to later on this semester, have funny sounding names to us Americans. I'm sure it's normal. This is like a John Smith in the Netherlands, but the name is pronounced Jan van Eyck. The J is pronounced with a Y. Jan van Eyck. All right, he's the first Netherlandish artist to achieve international fame. So let's take a closer look at the Ghent altarpiece. And here it is closed. So it's a polyptych, not a triptych. Triptych has how many panels? 3. What does poly mean? Yes. So this has lots of panels. It's not just 3 panels. But basically, it swings the same way as the triptych does. It has a trifold. So these 2 doors open up. But here we're going to look at it closed first. It's closed most of the year, and they open it during holidays. It has a missing panel that's on the inside. I'll talk about that later. And this outer image tells the story of the Annunciation. And I told you guys the story. Well, I didn't tell you the story. There's not much of a story. Gabriel is telling Mary that she's going to have a baby. Now, this is a very popular story or image to show during this time. All right, I want you to know what a sibyl is. So this chart right here breaks down what we're looking at. So we have a couple of symbols up in the top middle. We have a prophet in the upper left. We have a prophet in the upper right. In the middle left, we have Gabriel. In the middle right, we have Mary. In the lower left, we have a donor. And in the lower right, we have a donor. And in the middle, we have a couple of paintings of sculptures of St. John the Baptist and St. John the Evangelist. Sibyls tell the future along with prophets. Prophets and sibyls tell the future. Prophets are in the Bible, and I think sibyls are in mythology. Yeah. So I want you to know be familiar with the term sibyls. They will pop up later when we look at some other art styles. All right. So as we get close to the Ghent altarpiece, we have the Annunciation. There is Mary, and then written upside down is Ecce Ancia Dom, which means behold the handmaiden of the Lord. And who is that above her head? Who is that? All right. Well, what is it? It's a dove. What is the dove a symbol of? Or who is the dove a symbol of? Yeah, it's part of the Holy Trinity. It's so there's the Father, which is God. There's the Son, which is Jesus, and then there's this bird, which is the Holy Spirit. Right. So it pops up a lot in religious art. The bird is the Holy Spirit. Now, when I talk about the detail in these paintings, if we zoom in on the book, the artist painted every actual letter of that was in the book. Then, if you look at the fabric, is this Northern Renaissance or Italian Renaissance? It's Northern. How can you tell? Yes, the sharp fabric, the origami look of the fabric. Oh my gosh. Yes, please. I'm a bad teacher. Security. All right. Oh, and the lilies. Thank you very much. The lilies are a symbol of the Virgin Mary. In fact, the fleur de lis is a lily. It's an abstraction of a lily. All right, and then let's take a look at the two patrons or the donors. All right, so we have donor portraits in the lower left and the lower right. We get a close up on him, and it shows his imperfections. You can see the moles, the imperfections on the face. He was a wealthy merchant, and he commissioned this altarpiece. All right, and then in the center lower portion of the Ghent altarpiece, we have these paintings. Now, what color are the paintings? If we look at these two right here in the center between the donors at the bottom, do they look like he painted sculptures? All right, that's called grisaille painting, and that's painting in black and white. In fact, when we look at a better color version of this, you can see that they're painted like sculptures. They're painted black and white. All right, so like I said, most of the time it is closed, and on special religious occasions, they excuse me, they open it. You can see the two people there just beginning to open it, and there it is open. And I want you to look at before and after. What is the main difference between before and after? colorful, right? These are very somber colors, and you open it, kapow, all right? It is very bright and colorful. And this gives you a sense of like the space that it is in. And as we get closer, we have this chart. Up here, we have the story of Cain and Abel. And then we have the Cain and Abel murder in the upper right. Down below, Cain and Abel on the left, we have Adam. Down below, Cain and Abel on the right, we have Eve. So we have Adam and Eve on the outsides. We have a choir over here, and then in the center, we have Jesus in the middle with his mother on our left, his right, and St. John the Baptist on our right, his left. And then down in the lower left, we have judges. Down in the lower right, we have hermits. And in the middle, we have the adoration of the Holy Lamb. And the whole theme of all of this is God's saving grace. Now, I told you before that there is one panel that is missing, and that is the one on the left. All right. Oh, and this painting right here, the Ghent altarpiece, it is the most stolen painting ever. It's been stolen, I think, 13 times, or parts of it have been stolen 13 times. And when we finish with all of our Lone Star, when Lone Star dates end and we take our final with Lone Star and we have some extra time after that, I'm going to go into art crimes with you. So we'll talk about art theft and forgery and that kind of stuff. It's fun. So be looking forward to that. And I will talk about this painting and the theft of it at that time. One of those times it was stolen was by the Nazis. And so here they are. Here are the troops recovering this painting from the Nazis. So we're going to take a look at Adam and Eve. The pose that Adam is in is called the Modest Venus pose, and it's also called Venus Pudica. And do you guys remember when we looked at Aphrodite of Knidos? All right, she was in this pose where she is covering up her privates. And now Adam is covering up his privates. You have a close-up of them. And then above her, we have a Grizel painting of the murder of, is it Cain that slew Abel? I think so. And I think that is like an amazing detail that's up there. That's just a little tiny little piece, and it's done so impeccably. You can't really see any brush strokes. It is really interesting. That's what I love about the Northern Renaissance is the details and the craftsmanship on the details. All right, so we're going to take a look at this lower centerpiece right here, and it is called the Adoration of the Mystic Lamb. And if you see on the altar, we have a fountain in the middle, and then just above that, we have an altar with a lamb on top of it. And if we get in close, we can see that this lamb has this weird hole in his chest, and the blood of the lamb is pouring out into a cup. This is a symbol of Christ's sacrifice for our salvation. And then around the lamb's head, what do you see? Yeah, it is a halo. And that particular kind of halo, it's not a circle, that's a halo. It's these lines radiating out from the center of the lamb's head. And that is called the nimbus. That's the style of halo that is. All right, and just like Northern Renaissance, if you zoom in, we've got details, details, details. Like every blade of grass, every leaf. This would make the Impressionists go insane. If you look way in the back, you can see every piece of architecture. Like not just the windows, but the forms around the windows. if you look at this is what just blows my mind. If you look at the details in the fabrics, like the gems that are woven into the fabrics, look at that crown. All right, this is Northern Renaissance, an insane amount of detail. In fact, if you look at the back of the crown, as the crown goes around, we see the back of it, like, or the inside of it, and you can see it is pressed metal or like pressed gold. And I think that is an incredible detail. If you look at, again, the gems that are sewn into the fabric, and then like this little bit of lace right here is insane. I've never been much of a fan of Northern Renaissance art with the exception of the details. Like they're just so much fun to look at. And it it's weird to think of that they went into that level of detail and craftsmanship when making their artwork. All right, we are going to move on to Arnold Feeney and his wife. All right, so as we look at this painting, does this stand out as a obvious religious painting? No, right? There's no Virgin Mary, there's no Annunciation, there's no Jesus, it doesn't look like a biblical story. So once again, I want to express to you that in the North, the church doesn't have as much control on art as Italy does. With Italy, it's all Catholic, 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 with a few exceptions at this time. In the North, there's a lot more freedom of artists. And there's a lot more money that is not in the church. You know, like I was expressing to you guys yesterday, people have money in the North. They're making money. And so they are, with extra money, after you pay all your bills, you can buy art. And that's what somebody has done here. They have commissioned a picture to paint him and his wife. So this picture has baffled art historians for centuries. It's one of the most analyzed paintings. And like I said, there's a growing merchant class, a growing wealth, and people are trying to raise their social status. How do you raise your social status? You buy art. Art is incredibly expensive because, you know, there's no cars to buy. There's no uh, um, um, you know, there's not much along those lines. So art is one of those luxuries that shows that you have a lot of money. The ultimate way to show off your wealth is to commission a portrait. And Jan van Eyck was a popular artist at the time. So getting a portrait done by a popular artist means that is the ultimate status symbol. All right, so I've taken out the woman and the man, and because it's not just a painting about the woman and the man, it's a painting about all their stuff too, and it's their stuff that they are showing off, not just themselves. So if you think about like American Gothic, where it looks like the farmer and his wife are standing in front of a house, all right, and it's very plain, and they look like normal people. This is the opposite of that. These people are showing off. All right, so some art historians say that this is a marriage portrait, and other art historians say that this is a memorial portrait. So I'll explain the difference. Basically, a marriage portrait is, hey, can you paint a picture of me and my wife, you know, to show off that we got married? That's a marriage portrait. All right. And so I'll explain the memorial portrait in just a second. Most historians think that this is a marriage portrait, although there is growing belief that this is a memorial portrait. There's sort of a mystery as to who this is. So there were several Arnolfinis at that time. Most likely, this is Giovanni Arnolfini, who is the patron and the subject of this painting. If it is Giovanni, if it is Giovanni Arnolfini, then his wife died before this was painted. So that's evidence that this is a memorial portrait. A memorial portrait is a portrait of somebody who has died. And every detail in this has meaning, and I'll go through all the details with you. And everything in this painting is a statement of wealth and status, but trying not to be too prideful, which they fail miserably at. All right, so clothes are a big part of showing off your wealth. And we still have that today, that influencers show off their, on the internet, show off their expensive clothes when they go and do expensive things. Hollywood celebrities wear expensive clothes, and that is a status symbol of their wealth. Let's see. It's commonly thought that she is pregnant because she has that big belly right there. But this is a common pose. And if you look at Jan van Eyck's Eve, you can see that he just draws women with these type of body shape at the time. This was a common body shape. And also she has a very large dress, and she is gathering up the fabric in front of her. So that is not a pregnant belly. That is a bunch of fabric that she's gathered up. That fabric is very expensive. And to have a dress with lots of fabric means it's a very, very expensive dress. And this is one of those dresses that somebody needs to walk behind her to carry the dress so that it doesn't get muddy. And then she has fur on that dress. And by adding fur on the dress is very expensive as well. It's an expensive addition to the dress. And then down below, there's this, let's see, it's called dagging, right? It's a type of fabric detail, and that takes a lot of time, and that adds to the expense of the dress. So expensive fabric, lots of fabric, fur on the dress, dagging, that's an insanely expensive dress. Now let's take a look at the shoes. In the background, there's a pair of shoes. These are called overshoes. You wear these shoes on top of your shoes so that your regular shoes don't get dirty when you go outside. Her covered head means that she is already married. And let's see. So she has a shaved hairline, which was fashionable at the time. It was believed that if you had a big forehead, you were smarter than other people. So it was popular for women to pluck the hairs from the top part of their forehead to make themselves look smarter. All right, his hat, is made of straw, dyed black, and it was the latest fashion from Italy. All right, and his tabard, what he's wearing is silk and velvet. His pattens, his overshoes, were very fashionable of the day, and the furniture is too expensive for most people. We'll get to the furniture in a second. In the background between them, so we're going to look right between them, there's a mirror on the background. All right, this is one of those things where the Northern Renaissance has an insane amount of detail. So if you look in the mirror, you can see what is reflected in the mirror, and you, the viewer, can see yourself reflected in that mirror looking at Arnolfini and his wife. And also, this shows the art historians that this is not a bedroom. There's a bed in there right behind her, but this is not a bedroom. This is a reception room. A reception room is a room to receive guests into your house. You have an extra room just for that. That shows that you have more money. All right, let's take a look at what's in the room. All the furniture in here is meant to be admired, not used. The bed is not meant to be slept in. The chairs are not meant to be sat in. It is not meant to be used. It's expensive stuff. In fact, beds are very expensive at this time. But to have an extra bed that you're not even going to use shows how much you are flaunting your wealth. A settle is a bench covered with a fabric, and I think that's what this is right here. That's a settle. And to the right of the settle is a high-backed chair used for honored guests. And there are carved figures on top of the chairs. Let's get to there's a carved figure on top of the chair. Let's see what else we got in my notes. And like I said, the bed was not meant to be slept in. It's just showing off that you have too much money. All right, so there's a gargoyle on top of one chair. There's the Saint Martha on another, and she has hanging next to her is a brush. You can see the other side of the brush right here, and that is a symbol of domesticity. That's what the wife is supposed to do, is clean the house, and so she has the brush there showing that she cleans the house. She likes having a clean house. All right, I'm going to skip past. Oh, oranges are expensive. Like, can you think of where are oranges grown? Like, think about America. What's the popular state for oranges? Florida, right? Florida. So that tells me that oranges are grown in a more tropical climate. This place that they're in, the northern part of the Europe, is very cold. Oranges don't grow there. So to be able to import oranges and have them just laying around is a sign of your wealth. Detail, you can see the reflection of the orange in the shiny surface of the windowsill. All right, now let's take a look at that chandelier. Look at the chandelier and what kind of lighting source do they have? Candles, right. How many candles do you see? There's one that's lit and the other one that is snuffed out, that is, used up. There's a little bit of symbolism here. If you look at the one that's lit is on his side, the one that's out is on her side. This is evidence that this is a memorial portrait. She's dead, he's alive. His candle's still burning, her candle is out. There's a detail of cherry blossoms outside, and then there's a dog down below, right? And this was a fashionable breed for Brussels at that time. And a dog in art is mostly a symbol of fidelity. Everybody knows what fidelity means, right? Fidelity means faithfulness. And a dog at a woman's feet is a symbol of a guide to the afterlife. If you look at this sarcophagus here of a husband and wife in a sarcophagus, we have dogs down by their feet to help guide them through the afterlife. Written in Latin above the mirror says Jan van Eyck was here. We got a convex mirror. Convex mirrors were popular at the time. And I want you to know what a vanitas painting is. All right, Vanitas paintings and memento mori paintings in art is to remind us that we're all going to die. You're going to die. I'm going to die. We're all going to die. None of us are going to escape death. There will be a time that we are no more. In a religious sense, especially in a Christian sense, that is a reminder that we don't have much time on this planet. So you better be good with God, because when you die, you will have to face God and either go to heaven or hell. All right. So that is the purpose of many of these images of skulls, skeletons, and other things to remind us that we're going to die. It is a religious purpose in this. All right, and mirrors are a part of that. So in some of the Vanitas paintings, you see the skeleton looking in a mirror, and so art historians are saying that the mirror that is in there is a Vanitas symbol that to remind us that we are going to die. Now, to talk about the insane level of detail in this painting, this is a smallish painting, and we're looking at a very tiny mirror in there. I heard somebody describe it as the size of the mirror is the size of your thumbnail. When you're looking at the actual painting of the mirror is the size of a thumbnail. And so when you look at that mirror, to be able to paint that onto something the size of a thumbnail is you must have the tiniest brush in the world. Now, there's these little circles going around here. There's 10 of them. And each one of these is a painting within itself. Each one is part of a biblical story of Jesus. And I'm sorry, it's the little roundels that are the size of your little fingernail. So your pinky fingernail, each one of those is the size of your pinky fingernail. So I've lightened it up and we look closely at it, and it depicts the passion of the Christ. I'm not going to go through all 10, but one of them is the story of the agony in the garden. Another one is the flagellation. Another one is the crucifixion, etc. You get the point. But it's an insane amount of detail in this painting. So the clues that it's not a memorial is that the art historians that believe that this is not a memorial portrait, it's a wedding portrait. They say that the candle that's lit is a symbol of the presence of God, not of who's alive, who's dead. The people that believe that this is just a wedding portrait is say that this is a religious ceremony, that they are getting married here. He is, promising to marry her. Their hands are being held. And also, one of the other art historians talks about the roles of men and women. She is on the side of domesticity. So the bed is over here, the broom is over here to clean the house. So that's what she is on. He is next to the window, meaning he goes out to go to work. She stays home and cleans the house. So it's a symbol. It shows the symbols of gender roles. All right, I want to move on. So on this lady's left, our right, she is standing next to Arnolfini and his wife. We're going to talk about this painting right here in the center of the photograph, Man in a Red Turban by Jan van Eyck. Actually, I think this, I cannot be sure. I think this, the writing should be in purple. But maybe he's on the test, maybe he's not. I don't know. I can't remember. All right, so we saw how small it was, and I'm just gonna kind of go kind of quickly through this one. There's a couple of inscriptions in here, In fact, this painting right here is basically an advertisement for his portraits. He painted this to show, look what I can do. And so people can, look at that and say, oh, I like that. Could you do one like that for me? I want you to paint my portrait too. So that is the purpose of this assignment. But there's a couple things I want to point out. A couple of inscriptions. And the top one says, as I can. And basically that means this is the best I could do. I wish I could have done better, but it's amazing as it is. And it's an ad for future clients saying, here's my painting, compare it to my face, and then you can judge for yourself if the painting matches my face. All right, the bottom one says, Jan van Eyck made me on the 21st. So he's signing and dating it down there. All right, and he's not idealizing himself. Remember when we looked at Romans, the Roman Republic, and they made the portraits and they did not idealize. They put in all the wrinkles and everything as they did. So he's showing his imperfections. But that's not really what I want to talk about. I just kind of like the hat. All right, so that hat is called a chaperone. And I hope I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, or chaperone. And so on the left, you can see the chaperone hat with all the fabric hanging down. On the right, he has the fabric up in the hat, tied up in the hat. And here is a guy, I guess, like going to Renaissance wearing a chaperone hat where the fabric is hanging down and it needs to be tied up. All right, are there any questions about anything we discussed so far? All right, so we are going to finish this PowerPoint. How are we doing on time? Let's see. I think we can start the next one. We have so much art to get through and so little time. Let's do 7 minutes left. All right, I think we can. Oh, thank you so much for reminding me. It's sore today. All right. I didn't mean to do that. All right, I want you to know what a deposition is. Yes. Yeah. I have so much to talk about with all these artworks. I need to divide up the PowerPoints, and if I don't do that, I'll have PowerPoints with a billion trillion slides on them. All right. Another thing about Northern Renaissance is they have very bright colors. But the colors on this painting are even brighter. Let's see. In this painting, the particular blue is the most expensive pigment an artist can purchase. On the left, we have 4 people wearing solid colors. And on the right, we have 3 people wearing pattern colors. And that is balance. I want to talk about balance in this one. That's why I like this painting and I chose this painting. How do 4 people balance out with 3 people? If they were on a scale, wouldn't 4 people, they're all a similar size. We're not talking about 4 tiny people or 3 large people. They're all the same size. So how do you balance 4 people with 3 people? And it's a visual balance. And patterns have more visual weight than solids. So you can balance out the 4 people by having your 3 people wearing patterns, because a pattern will attract your eye. Your eye will stay on the pattern trying to figure it out, or be amazed by the detail that is in the pattern. All right, and then we're still talking about details, when we're talking about Northern Renaissance art. And I want to point out that they have the same compositional lines that they are repeated uh, over. So that helps with the composition as well. And then on the left and the right, these two people they almost make like a brackets on the outside to kind of contain the picture on the inside. And I want to talk one tiny little detail where the artist has painted, they built a frame around the painting, and the artist paint a little bit of the frame on the edge of the painting. And then as this guy climbs up the ladder, his thumb and his tool go right over the edge of what's supposed to be the frame of the painting. It makes him look like he's coming out of the painting a little bit. So that's a little bit of like trickery by the artist to make it look a little bit more real. And again, the detail is absolutely amazing with these fabrics. And then I also want to express to you the origami style of the fabric. And then we have a memento mori, or the vanitas, at the bottom to remind us that we're all going to die. By the way, I showed you a chart at the very beginning of the school year that a lot of these paintings, we're going to talk about sex, we're going to talk about religion, we're going to talk about death. This is part of that death that we talk about because it's in a lot of artworks. All right, and we are going to stop with this painting today, again, with that origami style fabric, and we will start with this Last Supper tomorrow. Any questions about anything? Any questions about the beast? Any questions about when D2L opens up, you guys can start doing your soft chalks? Yes, I'll be here till 3:15. Are you asking about the doing the cover? Yeah, the cover. Art history students are brutal on their sketchbooks because they put their sketchbooks in their bags, and you have lots of stuff in your bags. That as you walk around, everything in your bag moves around, and it's absolutely horrible on these sketchbooks. And so we're trying something new this year, and I think it's working. I think the sketchbooks are surviving a little bit better this semester. What's that? Yeah, that happens. Did your the cover come off? Or do you want to make a new cover? That's what, like the cover that you made disintegrated, right? Or the cover of the book disintegrated. Like the cover that we made. Yeah, so you can make another one. And that's what I'm hoping, is that the cover disintegrates, not the book. Anyways, that was fun. That was fun for me. I don't know. You guys get bored or what? On Friday? Yeah, I will stick around on Friday.
What will we be doing? I'll be field trip.
Yeah. So I record all of my lessons because I teach a class at Park. They don't have an art history teacher over there, so I teach them, and I record all of these lectures. The lectures are posted. You can watch the lecture. Mm-hmm.